Alright guys, what's going on? It's Jack and welcome back to another video. So I was sitting around after stream, sometime after I got something to eat today, I went on and played offline, and I could tell you, it's a lot smoother and a lot more relaxing when you play offline. I don't know if it's a placebo effect or whatever the hell the deal is. I mean, granted, I had a bot lobby that I just kept on wrecking all day. There was one YouTuber that showed up, and then he ended up rage quitting. I think he was in this lobby right here. I mean, absolutely nothing against that person. As a matter of fact, he was very friendly. He said GG one time in messages. And there was also earlier, there was a noob earlier that actually said he won't let me win next game or whatnot, and he had just gotten the game a week ago according to his messages, and I was just like, SMH, man, shake my head. Interesting stories, man. It seems like bad players or new players like to kind of talk a little trash too. But anyway, that's not what this commentary is about. This commentary is about something far, far more important, actually. So, throughout the YouTube career of mine, so to speak, right? I'm going to take you back to when I first posted at Thunderstruck Gaming, which was about probably 3 years ago, give or take. And my first video on there, it was a Black Ops 2 gameplay, and my first video on there was, what if somebody bought Call of Duty, right? So, granted, it's a fantasy video. But the very first video I ever made on this channel, which actually got a pretty good amount of views for somebody who had absolutely no subscribers. I'm not even exaggerating. We're talking 0 subscribers, right? Well, here's what kind of happened. I was talking about Sledgehammer Games, Treyarch, and Infinity Ward teaming up together to make the ultimate Call of Duty game. So that was my very first video almost 5 years ago. And man, does time fly. But I have something else that's kind of been whispered among the Call of Duty community, and I'm sure I'm not the only person to think of this. I'm not making this video thinking that I'm a genius or anything like that, because I sure as hell am not the first to think of this. And this has been mentioned before, but ever since then, it hasn't really been talked about all that much. So we keep on having these ideas of, let's end the yearly life cycle, let's do this, let's do that. We try to, you know what I mean? We have all these ideas. We have all sorts of different content creators giving their own little spin on things and their own opinions and everything in between. So let's talk about something else. Now we know that every single developer has their strengths and their weaknesses when it comes to a certain kind of Call of Duty. Like, for instance, back in the day, before Modern Warfare 2019, Infinity Ward was definitely known for their connection and hit detection. Honestly, before Modern Warfare, every single game that Infinity Ward, and we're not just talking about the old Infinity Ward, I'm talking about the new Infinity Ward as well. I'm talking about the guys that made this game here. Say what you want about this game, but this game had a smooth-ass launch. Like, there was no, to my recollection and to my memory, there was no bullshit. There was no servers. There was no server problems. There was, the connection and the hit detection was very smooth. It wasn't like World War II, for instance. So with all due respect to Sledgehammer Games, this is not knocking them or anybody else for that matter. But, let's say something good about Infinite Warfare for a second, right? And this is something that's been told to me. I've been watching stuff on YouTube here and there because I don't really play this mode, but Infinity Ward is damn fucking good at making campaigns, and this actually includes Modern Warfare 2019. I've seen bits and pieces of the Modern Warfare 2019 campaign, and I'll tell you what, not only does it look fucking good, but even though it's only 5 hours long, it's fucking solid. So the thing is that obviously most people, despite, even with the last video, me explaining that it's not so cut and dry and it's not so easy, it's safe to say that still most people, even if it's 51%, most people prefer Treyarch's multiplayer. Granted, there are a handful of people that do not, or actually a decent amount of people that do not. I specifically remember when I went to GameStop years ago to pick up World War II, the midnight release, there were obviously every person there was a very passionate Call of Duty fan. And as a matter of fact, one thing I can tell you is that a handful of guys that I talked to, they absolutely despised Treyarch games. Out of all the Call of Duty games, they're the ones that they hate Treyarch the least. So let's break it down a little bit. What if all of a sudden we had all the different developers work on different modes of the game? Like, for instance, let's say we had Treyarch work on multiplayer only and release just a multiplayer version of the game for 3 years. Can you imagine if the devs just had 3 had 3 years, the entirety of the development cycle, dedicated to multiplayer only. So traditional multiplayer, let's say Treyarch was working on it, and let's say campaign was worked on by Infinity Ward. Okay, now, and this would also give the fan base that's really passionate about campaign, this would eventually give them the campaign that they've always wanted. And what have fans always asked for in terms of Call of Duty campaigns? Well, they don't really ask for much, because the biggest thing that they ask for is that the campaigns be longer. But they can easily go well beyond that if they have a total of 3 years to work on just campaign. And we're not just talking about a story that's even more solid and that holds even more weight, but we're talking the length of the campaign, and we're talking what you can do in the campaign. I mean, I don't think anybody in the Call of Duty community that's a big fan of campaigns of the franchise would have any objection to, let's say, let's have some side missions going. Let's have things that you can find and search for and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that Call of Duty campaigns should be a lot like Destiny or anything like that. No. It could still be linear, but that doesn't mean that you can't make choices. In Black Ops 2, if you remember, there were multiple endings in Black Ops 2's campaign. So they were this is Treyarch kind of trying to put a little extra effort in their campaign, so to speak. They didn't really hit it out of the park, but in terms of what they tried to do, you can't help but commend them for it. Because, again, 2 years to try to make a campaign and a multiplayer and a zombies that would hold up to its name, which it did. But one of the things that I specifically remember was the different endings and to how you had certain choices to make. So if Call of Duty started implementing small little things in terms of what makes other first-person shooter campaigns great while putting their own spin on it, I personally don't think anybody in the campaign community specifically would have any objection to that. And let's not to mention to where you can make it a little bit more, I don't know, maybe slightly open world, like linear, but yet open world at the same time. Again, with a bunch of side missions that have a whole bunch of things. I mean, and then of course there'd be intel to look for, and then you could also do other things as well. So I think it opens up the opportunity for something great. And this is actually the way to make a lot of the Call of Duty fans very, very happy. And at the same time, there are those players that only buy the entire game. They spend $60 to play only 1/3 of the game. So if you think about it, they can actually profit this, and at the same time, the players themselves can get everything out of it by like let's say you wanted to play only one portion of the game. Well, guess what? Let's say you pay only $30. Like $20 would be too little, I guess, but let's say you were to pay $30, right? That's still 50% discount, and you'd probably get a much better quality of the game than you did in recent times. Seriously. And at the same time, it's like you're not forced to download or to play a version of the game that you, respectfully speaking, don't want to play. And of course, here's the tricky part. Who in the world do we get to work on zombies? Because Treyarch is known for zombies, and I believe Sledgehammer had a stab at it, as well as Infinity Ward with Zombies in Spaceland, which a lot of people think is severely underrated. And let's see, who am I missing here? We got Treyarch, we got Infinity Ward, and we got Sledgehammer. Okay, so would you guys be opposed? Like, I'm talking to the zombies community here. There are a handful of you that watch my stuff that are big zombies fans. If Sledgehammer Games had the opportunity to make a zombies game, like just the zombies portion of a Call of Duty game, and have 3 years to work on that, just that specifically, would you guys be opposed to that? Like, imagine if zombies had its own separate story, campaign style, as well as your traditional zombies mode, and among other things. So, I mean, imagine having not necessarily more maps upon release, but like, let's say the ultimate huge ass fucking map that literally takes zombies and basically puts another layer into it that literally evolves what zombies is in the first place and brings it up to a whole new level. Now, I'm not necessarily saying it should replace the traditional formula of what zombies is, but I'm saying, like, there are a multitude of different ways you can play it. You could play traditional zombies, you could play what I just mentioned, and I wouldn't even know what to call it. And of course, zombies can have its own version of campaign, so to speak. They can do their own story like that if they want to. And what's even cool about this is that after the new game comes out and all the devs have a total of 3 years to work on just that portion of the game only, their own designated portion, if the community is okay with it, I mean, or if they disagree with the results of what happened, I mean, you could always mix and match. You could have Sledgehammer work on the next multiplayer, and then you can have Treyarch work on their zombies or just the campaign, and Infinity Ward can work on the other mode. So I want your input on this, guys. What do you think about this? And of course, before I let this one go, I also wanted to say, how about maybe, and again, you guys can give me feedback on this, maybe we should give Raven a chance just to work on their own version of Battle Royale. Just their own version of Battle Royale. Let me know what you think about that and what your particular preference is and just the concept in general. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for this one. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay and I hope you enjoyed the commentary. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section about this. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, let me know. And if you didn't, let me know what I can do to make my videos better. I'll catch you guys on the next one.